Welcome back to another episode of The Resilient Philosopher. This is the Leon Dantes. The main reason why I'm always talking about leadership is about taking initiative was revealed to me once again at work. As a sales manager, I was simply fixing things around the place and my coworkers saw me and they said, "Hey man, you should have told us, we would have helped you." And they went and started helping me putting all the things in the right place. Technically speaking, that's something that they should have done and not me. But instead of pointing that out, instead of telling them what to do, I took initiative. And I didn't do this for the first time. I've done this many times where I've taken the initiative to do a job that is not necessarily mine, but something that should be shared among the team. This has created now a way that they realize all by themselves when they're not doing what they're supposed to and automatically start doing it. That form of leadership or serving leadership, again, it's not about you constantly serving others and doing everything for others. No, it's about teaching them how to do things for themselves, how to empower them so that they can see what they don't see in themselves. And if they already do, you help them develop it even higher. Because the mentality that if I teach somebody, they can take my spot, that's absurd, especially at work. If you replaced, it's not because you taught somebody else. It is most likely because you forfeited your job in one way or another. Either you thought that you were the best that you could be at that moment and they wanted more, or you simply stopped caring and they wanted a change. But at the end of the day, a company will replace you whether you teach someone or not how to do your job. It is also important to point out that in serving leadership, you're there to serve, but not forever. And by serve, I mean doing your job, following the policies, and making a structure where everybody needs to know where they belong within the structure. It's not simply, oh, I'm going to go and do everybody's job. No, that's not. In serving leadership, that is not what is meant. What is simply meant is you're going to go and empower each person to be able to do their job. You're going to explain to them what is expected of them. You're going to follow the policies within the organization and apply it as it is written. Once you start bending the rules within the policy, within the structure of the company, then it all crumbles down. And I've seen it in other companies where upper management has one idea, HR has a different idea, and they're both doing a tug of war. Meanwhile, middle and lower management have no leadership whatsoever. And that completely destroys the company from within. When the higher management does not know how to properly run or keep the structure strong within the policies and regulations in the company, then it all starts crumbling down because the foundation of a company is in upper management. And this could be a corporate issue. This could be in an international company. It could be the founders itself that did not leave a good legacy when it came to serving leadership, when it came to any form of leadership. And that is why it's important to create and invest in a good team dynamic with strong upper management leadership that trickles down in each level within the company. Every organization needs to have that in mind. The failure of organization does not necessarily start at the bottom, but it starts in the top. In today's society, we're living in a place where, especially in corporations, the CEO and high executives make so much money that they don't necessarily think of the importance of leadership, and they start forgetting what got them there. I've done episodes about this, about the importance of upper management, the highest levels of upper management, to reinvest in the company, to reinvest in the leadership, not just from the lower part of the company, but from the top down. That's where the changes need to happen. Now, if you are a resilient person, you learn to work within any environment for the necessity of the income, not necessarily because you like the company, not necessarily because you just like the job. But when a person is within a proper structure of a company, the money stops being so important. Yes, it is necessary for the cost of living, but a person that feels secure, that feels acknowledged and taken care of in the sense of a strong, structured job that they feel that they're going to be there until retirement, they are more willing to invest in themselves, and the company, and in themselves. And that is when it's important for that upper management to be there, see that, and say, you know what? We're going to help you. We're going to make sure to never lose a person like you, a person that cares, a person that wants to work and do what's right because it's the right thing to do. But in a company where leadership is lacking, where everybody's for their own, everybody wants to move up the ladder by crushing the person underneath of them, eventually that company does crumble and gets destroyed unless, once again, there's changes in upper management where it awakens the need to restructure and become better leaders within the organization. At home, it is the same thing. In a household, it doesn't matter if there's one parent, both parents, there is rules, there is a structure. And that structure does not only help the child learn and progress and understand that the same structure or similar structures will be expected to be followed in school and in life, at work, as you grow up. It helps them find a sense of stability in life, what to expect. You know, sometimes a person might think, when being coddled by the parents, for example, that if you don't get your way, well, I'll just make a big scene about it. And that might get you far, but eventually that will get you fired from a job. And when HR starts making excuses or taking sides, even though that employee is breaking the rules and it leaves lower management without the ability to enforce the rules, anything that happens should be laid against that HR department. That is their fault for allowing the rules to be bent whenever it is convenient. And when we speak about the next generation not being as good as the previous or the previous few, we forget that they have been the way they've been because of the structures that we as parents set up for them. The fact that we applied certain rules to the oldest child and didn't pass it down to the youngest, that is our own fault. That is where the generational issue usually happens. When the kids are all born within a sequence of time, they are most likely to have the same structure as they grow up. But when the child or the children are separated by 5, 6 years or more, then it's different generations with the same parents. And perhaps because the older we get, the more we're supposed to open our minds, see things differently, what is considered maturing, then we see the necessity of applying other rules that before we didn't think it was as important. And that in itself can create a generational difference. We seem to forget that in the 80s and early 90s, and probably early 2000s, it was common to hear within people trying to get an education that first I'm going to build a career and then I'm going to have kids. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But once you have a career, if you're not careful, your children can become like a reward and not so much as the understanding of parenting. And now the same rules of leaderships that you have learned at work, you have to teach your children. You can't simply give them everything they want because now you have the money to do so. Or to give them everything they want because you didn't have it growing up. Or that's a mistake because now what got you to become resilient, to become strong, to become a good worker, a good person, a good neighbor, a good son or daughter. It's what you need to be teaching your child. Your child is not a pet where we're simply coming home and feeding it and petting it. You've done your job. It's not that. A child needs structure. A child needs to learn what no means no, and that yes means yes. And when you make a promise, you deliver on it. That when you say no to something, you stick through it and say no. Both parents have to have the same structures and rules. They cannot be flexed. What is not okay to be done with when mom is home is not okay to be done when mom is not home. Now, as they get older, maybe you can flex the rules a little bit. But at the early stages of childhood, there must be a strong structure and there must be a way to truly learn to communicate with our children, to really be able to spend the time to understand them, listen to them, and get to learn and get to know them very well. Talking for personal experience, that lack of communication with our children can really make a division in our lives, and later on, we will regret it. In my case, personally, I was spending so much time working that I forgot to really enjoy the time with my family. Something that I will have to live with, but now I try to enjoy more time with them when possible because they're mostly grown up already. But the same thing happens at work. It's the same mentality. That's why in the resilient philosopher, the prison of reality, and the book Leadership Lessons from the Age of Mental Health and Mastering the Self, I really pointed that out, that it's very important to remember that leadership training starts at home. It starts from the parents to the child. And to remember that just like our children are sponges to what we say, and even when we think they're not listening, they hear it. The same thing happens at work. When you say something about a coworker, when you say something, people are listening. People will and can't change the narratives with what they hear. They might hear it halfway, not the full, and then spread the part that is convenient or the part that they just heard. And those things destroy leadership. Those things bring down the team dynamic. And that is why it's important to remember the same style of leadership that you have at home should be the one that you carry at work. And if your leadership at work is not good, that could be a reflection of your lack of leadership at home as well. It's like when you see a coworker that is messy at work, your first thought is that he's the same or they're the same way at home. Whether it's true or not, without knowing, without going there, it's really easy to fall into that assumption. And that is why it's so important to learn and to have well structured leadership that is reliable, consistent, and trustworthy. I personally believe that serving leadership is the right type style of leadership. I believe that we are here to help others by empowering them to succeed. That is why I came up with the idea that every day is a great day to learn something new by removing the excuses and addressing the reasons, the issues, in order to be able to build a stronger team that can work together and really build a strong dynamic. I would like to remind everyone that the books, The Resilient Philosopher, The Prism of Reality, is available in Barnes and Nobles and through Amazon. It's also available in Kindle and Barnes and Noble and Apple Books, digital versions. The book itself is available for free at the website visionleon.com, where we have over 900 articles talking about leadership through philosophy, politics, spiritual, and family oriented. We also have a GoFundMe account where you can donate any money that you want to the cost of operations of the podcast together with the website. The goal is to reach $1,200. Some already have donated, and to those I give thanks. And most importantly, is that this work is being done not for the money, but for the ability to give out the word and make a movement of serving leadership, of a type of leadership that builds and not divides within society. But most importantly of all, when you listen to this podcast, when you listen to these episodes, please, if you enjoyed it, share it. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment. If you didn't enjoy it, share it. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a comment. Either way, you're more than welcome to share the episodes and to always leave a comment, whether it's here at the podcast or at the website, visionleon.com. Again, this is D. Leon Dantes reminding you to always show up for yourself.